Today we have a Bolens 31cc Weed Eater. It's a pretty bare model, but it's not too bad. It's at least a larger engine. It has the common issues of primer bulb not really working very well. The carb is probably gummed up. It has pretty good compression. The fuel smells like it's been over-aged, let's just put it that way. And yeah, that's really about it. I still want to test it though, so let's go ahead and put a little fuel down the spark plug hole and see what happens. So two things to note. One, the plug is on the bottom, so it might foul because, you know, gravity. But there's a little fuel down there. And two, if you hear an insane amount of noise in the background, apparently my neighbor decided it was a good idea to just romp on a four-wheeler all day long. So, let's see what happens. Oh, tennis elbow. Okay, let's get the carb off. Luckily, this is pretty easy. Put the 2, and this is the same for basically all of these. There's Yard Machines, there's Bolens, there's Craftsman. They're all the same engine, just with different stickers and colors. Oh, the bottom is connected on this one, okay. So I got this about a year ago. I'm doing a little spring cleaning. I want to get rid of it. What is holding this thing on here? There we go. A little clip. Fuel lines are trashed, so we'll have to get new ones of those. That's not too hard. Just follow the old ones. I rarely show fuel lines because it's really not that. It's more boring than anything else. You can't really even explain a whole lot. Because, I mean, what do you explain? You take the old one out, you put a new one in. At least with the carb, there's pieces that are more intricate. This comes off. Open the tank. There we go. Yep, just as I remember it. There we go. Let's get this cleaned up. So now, does this want to come off and play friendly with us? Let's Let's not tempt it. I know, like others, it's only this one adjustment screw. And that's not a mistake, it actually is only just one adjustment. So that looks like it's the low screw, or maybe it's not. Maybe they just convert it all into one. Over the last week, I've gotten about 3 or 4 of these. It's kind of prompted me to do this one because I figured I might as well, since I'll be doing a lot of them. Might as well just get used to it. That's rock hard. Anyway, but I can't even work on some of them because everyone's been putting straight fuel in there. Wow, yes, you can replace it, and maybe it didn't do damage, and maybe it survived. It's just odd. Like, you go so long, and then all of a sudden, just everything all the time, just straight fuel on 2 cycles. Thinking about making a video on determining if you have a 2 cycle or a 4. Which I feel like it should be easy enough to figure that out. And I will give you the fact that some are a little confusing because usually 2 don't have valves, but there are those strange ones that do have valves, but they still run on 2 cycle fuel. That's pretty rare. At least not for me. At least for me, excuse me. Man, that fuel literally smells like Windex. Oh, that's very odd. Yeah, that's the fuel. Okay. Take out that adjuster screw and then put in the carb cleaner. I'll be right back. Everything's nice and dry. Gotta put it back together. I like to put the spring in first. There you go. And it doesn't help that it falls over, but let's continue on. Oh, there it is. Okay. So you can tell there's a little bit of a difference. There's like a slot there the spring will ride in or get held in. There we go. There we are. I know it's hard to see, but basically just have to middle with it. Just make sure the spring's okay. and the needle is in its little groove, which it is. Everything seems to be actuating good. Should be set. Take the gasket, put that on. Then we take our new diaphragm. We take off the old one. You want to look at the height of that ridge in the center, because if it's too small, too low, or too big or too small, it's not going to work. It's either going to be starving for fuel or drowning in it. It's really no in-betweens on those. Just those options right there. Let's put it in this way. There's a tool that I probably should be using, but you can tell the difference, or you can set the height of a float or the needle. Not the float, this doesn't have a float, but the needle can barely be touching it, or not the needle, the little arm can barely be touching it. And if it's off more than like a half a hair, you're gonna have problems. They're very, very detailed, but in general, if you don't mess with it, you probably will be fine. So I put new fuel lines on, and everything seems to be fine on there. What you do want to remember though is this. This has a primer bulb. Primer bulbs do not push fuel to the carburetor. They push fuel through the carburetor. Let me explain. You can tell because this is where the pump is for the fuel. That's where that blue piece is. You can tell this is the in and that's the return. So the pump does not go here. This goes directly to the fuel tank. Fuel goes in, fuel comes out. The pump pulls fuel through it. So the pump actually goes on the out. So that's how I'm going to reconnect it. Oh wow, I forgot to almost do this. If you do it the other way, it probably will run. In fact, I think it does run. Just not for very long. You'll have constant problems. You won't know why. And then you look at it, you realize you have them in the wrong ports. This is a single D. And this was about 2 1/4 out. So that's 1, 2 1/4, a little more. Okay, and put it back on, see what happens. Everything's all done, installed. Just put a new primer bulb in there. Fuel lines, like I said, that's really not all that hard. Just take them off the same way you put them on, or put them on the same way you take them off. The inner diameter needs to be the same, so remember that. Outside diameter, not too important, except for the ones that go in the tank. Non-ethanol fuel, let's give it a pull. I have my adjuster. In fact, I think I'll put that in there now. It's kind of a pain to put in. line or on the end. So the proper way of tuning it is to have string. The load's different. Other than that, I revved it up until it got like screams, and then I kept turning it to rich until it started to bog, and then I went back until it screamed, and maybe a quarter of a turn from there. Seems to be fine. It was a little smoking to begin with, but I think that was just excess oil that was in the engine somewhere, top, bottom, and wherever, or the muffler, one of the two. But yeah, other than that, so like I said, this works for all 31cc's like this, just because it's not a Bolens. It could be a Poulan, Craftsman, you know, whatever. As long as it says 31cc's and it looks like this, spark plug on the bottom, you're set. It's pretty easy. Just a few fuel lines, primer bulb, and diaphragm. So this is a quick little video, but I want to bring it up. Okay, have a nice night. Subscribe, leave a comment if you have any questions. Catch you in the next video. Later.